So question is there free will? What is the relation between free will and destiny? Right? So when I say free will, when you say free will, what do you mean by free will? Let me understand your definition of free will. Because if you don't talk in the same language, same page, right, will not make sense. So if you say free will, your word free will, what it means to you?
Yeah, at least for the basic level, it is you think that you have.
No, don't go for a definition. I tell your meaning. If you say I have free will, what do you mean by that?
Basically, I intentionally do things expecting a result, and I think that my effort is producing results.
So
that's why
I have the ability to think, I have the ability to do, I have the ability to get results. That's what you call as free will. And I have a choice in that. Right?
Exactly.
For me,
How many years are married?
He's thinking. Question.
How many years are married?
33.
Still you say that you have a choice? That itself is illusion. Okay, we'll not go into very spiritual level. If you are married and you still claim the free will is there, then you are telling something.
for me, I thought of that.
The delusional level.
Okay.
That's his destiny.
That's his destiny.
For me, I thought free will is how I respond to things that happen.
So,
I have a choice in
something
how I respond.
happens to us and how to respond to that is a free will for you.
Yes.
Right?
That
For
is
him,
my definition. That's my understanding.
that's your understanding. For him, understanding of free will is I have the ability to think and act and get result. That's the meaning of free will for him. For you, something happens in my life, I'll respond to that.
Yes.
Right? Anybody else has any definition of free will?
Well, being ability to act on my feelings without hurting others.
So, by acting on my feelings without hurting others is a free will. So, we have different understanding of free will. Okay. First, let us start with I have a desire and I can act on that. Let's start with that point. So, how many of you are able to think here? Do you think? Those who have the ability to think, please raise your hands. No.
Something, so I think I'm thinking.
So say I am thinking. I can think, right?
No, I'm saying I'm thinking.
Come.
Okay.
Come sit.
So let us take the question.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I said that I guess this is Gopal, my brother.
Oh, okay, now say.
So he knows others.
Yeah.
So the context is that
Free will.
Oh, if you are interested in this. Okay. What is free will for you?
Free will means like when there's a situation, I am responsible for it, and I have a way to respond to it. I have control over my response.
I have control of my response. So that is the definition of free will. First, let me ask the question. Do you think, all of you? Right?
No. We are the delusion that we are thinking.
None of us can think. Thinking happens. So tell me, if you say you have conscious control over thinking, okay? If you have conscious control over thinking, you should know the exact process of thinking. Tell me how many cells are in the brain?
Trillions.
Huh?
Trillions.
Which brain?
Exactly.
Any brain, right? To make thinking happen, two cells have to be connected in some way.
Yes.
In 2 trillion cells. How many combinations are possible? You don't know how many zeros are there. Then you can say still I think. Huh? So thinking happens through my nervous system. Understand? Then I claim that I think a thought. So understand?
Yes.
I claim that thought also I don't have control. It happens again. So then who thinks? So first I'll put the base clear. Thinking happens through us, and a claim that I am thinking also happens through us. Then whose free will we are speaking of?
the thought is not.
Your thoughts are not your thoughts.
It's not deliberate. Then there is no.
It is not conscious. Everything falls apart. The whole concept of free will falls apart. If you ask the question, who is thinking? Okay, you say I think. Then you tell me how you are connecting two cells in the brain. How many electric voltage you are sending through cells? I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue about damn mechanism. Then still I claim that I am thinking. How do you do that?
You know, I have a concept. Can I share? I don't know. Sometimes I feel some thoughts are going like clouds. Okay, they're going around, and suddenly I don't know. I attract some things, and it's entering me.
No. We'll first let us finish this free will.
That is how I feel. My thinking is.
I am saying let us finish this free will business. Then we'll address your cloud question.
Okay.
Because nowadays everything is a cloud based. No. I'm saying cloud means all our software is out of that. I'll come to your question of cloud. All right. So my thinking is not my conscious effort. It happens through me. But I do claim that I think.
But it is not like totally arbitrary, right? It is
We'll come to that. We'll come to a totally arbitrary. We'll destroy the complete thinking process before we come to that process.
So if I get it, you're sort of flipping the I think, therefore I am, therefore I think. Meaning
Correct.
That's flipping it.
That's right. So now let me take we live all under the illusion that I think. Okay, I don't think. Thinking happens. Okay. So now why does it happen? Let's take question. Okay. Our nervous system is running a program. Nervous system is a biological computer, practically, biocomputer. It runs a program. This program is called, or what we call karma or destiny, is a program which runs into the nervous system. Where does the program start? In which lifetime starts? We don't know. But in this lifetime, how it begins, I'll tell you. Our nervous system, when we are in the mother's womb, it's very soft. It's evolving. Any prints there will go deep inside. Any prints goes deep inside. Like mud is very soft.
Right.
Somebody is. Okay. It goes deep inside. So what happens is that when we are in the mother's womb at 6 months old, nervous system is forming. Anything sound, surroundings, mother's impressions will straight away imprint on that. Okay. That's why it's called prenatal education. So the prenatal education stage, what is the mother's emotions, surrounding sounds, all those imprint. So that's already formed the basis of our programs, other than past life impressions. Okay. So by the time child is born, up to the age of 4, our nervous system, the core of the nervous system, 50% is formed. So the core of your emotion response, core of your life response is already programmed in the hardcore. It's like in our electronics languages, embedded code is formed. Deeper. Past life also is there. Now this is in this life, and you have absolutely no control over that. Okay, that's your core of your life. So between the age of 4 to 10, another 30% get formed.
This is out external, whatever environment.
Externally 4 to 10, up to the age of 4, up to 6 months in the mother's womb, it's mother and father. Okay. Right? And when you are born, family, surroundings. And when you go to school kids, teachers, all those things will formulate the rest of the, not the knowledge process I am speaking of, basic core of your life, your responses, emotional responses, all those things. So between the age of 10 to 18, another 20% get formed. And we are speaking of the inner core. So roughly by age of 18, you are already solidified the inner, your life response to whole situation.
50 inside when before birth, 30, 20.
20. Yeah. Okay. So this is how, if you go as a science, between the age of 0 to 2, the child lives, if now modern day they put brain waves, right? Yeah, electrodes. So electrodes, that brain wave measure, the child brain wave should be delta. Okay, with the eyes open, the child is asleep. Brain activity is very less. So when the brain activity is very less, the absorption brain is maximum. The learning is maximum. And see, as a child, there is no formal mechanism to learn. Child has only looks at here and there, learns from the environment. Whatever is the environment, just pumps in. So delta is the brain wave for the child in the eyes open state. Okay. For us, the delta is the brain wave when you're in deep sleep. Our learning stops there. Okay. So between the age of 2 to maybe let's say another 6 or 7, the brain wave shifts from delta to what we call as theta. So for us, the theta is like when we are going to dream or meditation, is that theta. For the child, it's with the eyes open. So in that what happens, the learning happens very rapidly. It's like a brain is in the program mode. And after 18 it's only execution mode. Okay. Yeah, okay. So we are in the being programmed by the age of programmed by the environment. So then what happens after that it shifts into alpha mode. Typically when the children
This is
enter
after 18.
no, it happens after 10
10.
when they enter into teen.
Okay.
So the alpha mode, it's more of a imagination. Okay, it's now semi-conscious, this thing. So in the alpha mode, their imagination, the teens are getting emotional because they are actually conscious and outer world, their connection is happening.
Okay.
So after that, everything gets cut off. You are what we are, all of us operating in the beta. So beta, no more programming can happen easily. Now you can learn science, mathematics, physics. Then what happens is your EQ is formed. Your SQ happen, what you call peak IQ. IQ happens in schools. You learn mathematics, physics, all those things will happen. But they are not periphery. They are periphery. They are more of skills. Okay. Then your question is, how do I respond to my outer situation? The response comes from your inner core. Fortunately, if you have good fortune, you have a good karma or good environment, your inner core is a fine-tuned response. And many people don't have that ability. That early stage, the inner core is this thing. They'll react. They'll get angry. So response is also not your response. It has happened. Program is there.
But don't we change our responses when you're younger?
I'll tell that, right? How it happens. So what happens is that some solid inner core is formed. This we call as vasanas and sanskaras coming from past life and current life.
Right.
We do have the ability to change. How the change happens?
Okay.
Some feedback means we learn hard way. So I get angry with what he speaks. So then what I try to modify my response. I don't. It's actually happening at a very application level, whereas embedded level already is. Understand what is embedded level and application level, right? So there is a happen. Now as we grow, we live in a execution mode, not in the basic program.
It's
So
not in the formation mode anymore.
so now what will happen is that all thoughts what we have, not a single thought is our thought. Okay, we absorb from the environment. Collective consciousness we absorb, and that we start saying it's my thought. That's our contribution. You put a label saying it's mine. Okay. So then how many actions of my actions are my actions? If my thoughts are not my thoughts, how many of my actions are my actions? There is a scientist called Libet. You can search in the internet. Libet's experiment.
Leibniz or
Libet.
Libet.
San Francisco, right?
Yeah, SFO. I think it's SFO. So back in when earlier that neurological this thing was coming, he did an experiment. He put probes to the brains of people. Then he said he put a switch in front of them. You switch on whenever you feel like switching on. I'll not tell you. You do switch on, and he measures this thing. So he measures when the conscious response happens and when unconscious response happens. He found there is a gap of 200 milliseconds between the conscious response and unconscious. That means before I decide I want to switch on, already switching on action started
In the brain.
in the whole system. Then you'll say, consciously say, I did it. All our thoughts is owning up, not actual execution in that sense. So this I tell on a story form. Near a seashore, somebody is sitting, and he has a big mush, and he has a big stick in front of him. He'll say up, and down. Somebody comes and says, what are you saying up? Don't you see? He has a big mush. Mush is, I am Donde Nayaka. That means I carry the stick. What are you doing? I am commanding the wave to rise up.
And then the wave
Wave is going down. See, I can't.
he's controlling the wave.
That's exactly our ego history. So there's a sloka in Bhagavad Gita. I'll chant, repeat. The all actions are done by Prakriti, nature. Prakritéhe kriyamanani gunaihi Sarvani,
Sarvani,
Karmasha,
Karmasha,
Ahankara,
Ahankara,
Vimudatma,
Vimudatma,
Kartahamiti,
Kartahari,
Manyate,
Manyate.
Prakriti, Sattoguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna is the doer. It's practically a machine. So Ahankara, I identify my ego and say I do it. Kartahamiti Manyate. So this is the teach. So now thoughts are rising in us and thoughts get converted into action. Now let us raise your right hand. Please raise your right hand. Okay. How many have raised your, who lifted your right hand? Who lifted your right hand?
Vichara command that program.
Who lifted your right hand? Who lifted your right hand?
Somebody else. You made us. You made us lift it.
Normally you say I lifted my left hand, right? So if you have lifted your right hand, you should know how many cells are in your right hand. How much blood is goes into right hand? Huh? Right? We have no clue. How many nervous impulses are going? No. Only thing which you say, I did it. Right? Prakriti he kriyamanani gunai karma. Prakriti in the olden language, it's a program. So the program is running and I claim I am doing it. So now what is free will here?
Freewill is going back to your XY chromosome that started the code.
Huh?
It will be your XY chromosome that started the code.
Oh, XY chromosome also is another bigger problem.
Start from there. Listening to your flow so far, the inference I got was the core is being formed right through the stage. It has to start at the core.
So, but we live as if we have free will. Okay? We live as if we have free will. Nothing wrong in that. Because that's a part of the game.
This is like you're being pulled
sounds
into
like
a
a video
game
game.
and you're making think you are playing.
No, it's like yesterday my students were telling me, oh, so you want us to say that God is the video game programmer and we are all the players who are on the stage. This is from a kid. Once again, the kids surprise you the most. And he said, the kids are all on the stage. You don't get to get off the stage because getting off the stage is dying.
Yeah.
So, but you get to do this. And then I don't play video games, so I did not know what an NPC was. Does anybody know?
Anybody know what is NPC?
NPC.
A non-playing character.
Oh, non-playing captain. Non-playing captain. Non-playing captain. Ah, okay.
And then they told me that there is this movie called Free Guy, where he's a character. He discovers that he's a character in a video game, and then he wants to change his programming so he can have a different outcome. And that was the story of that movie. I'm yet to see it. So they were asking, do we have the ability to change our programming? I cannot, without leaving the stage, can I change my
the program.
programming? And we were trying to figure out if that means free will because that's the only way they understood it. But again, they were coming up with, as we were discussing, they were going, this makes sense to us. And it's only like just 2 or 3 kids who are participating. But when you're saying this, I was going, oh, I'm thinking of Prabhuji.
So, our thinking happens, our action happens, there's a claiming happens. And claiming also I don't do, it happens. And this claimer is troubled all the time.
Ego.
He wants to be in control.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is the guy who is already troubled. Who is seeking the spiritual journey? Not you, that claimer. So there is a thinker, there's a doer, okay, there's a feeler, there's a knower, and there's a claimer. Claimer claims all this, but he's not none of that. He doesn't do anything.
Even he's under the illusion that he is all of those.
No, he thinks he's real.
He's like, this is like the video
Just like a video game character who discovers that he's actually a
So,
character.
when I say my free will, whose free will you are speaking of? You have a free will, you are free to claim something in the world. Nobody stops you from claiming. But that claim is false. So the Ramana Maharshi, somebody was in the sitting in the Ramana Maharshi, a newspaper reporter. He said, Ramana Maharshi said, everything is predestined. This newspaper reporter got bugged. He went and switched on the fan. And he said, is it predetermined? Yes, that's also. Is it predetermined? Yes. How can you rise? How can a thought come that I have to switch on the fan? How can your hand move? Right? So in that sense, what we live is an illusion of free will. It is good to have. That's the fun of life.
otherwise we will get very,
Yeah,
Right?
because I'm thinking that then anybody who does anything can say it was just destined to happen.
No,
I
this is where
didn't know.
this is where we have to be careful. Okay, any spiritual teaching, you should not give indiscriminately. Okay,
Right.
the spiritual teaching has to be given at the right point, with the right input, at the right place.
Please.
If given wrongly, it can cause a lot of havoc in the life. Wrong. It's not that we do it wrongly. It happens that somebody is destined to receive the wrong teaching. He's gone case. But what happens is spiritual teaching has a hierarchy. Okay, the higher level hierarchy you cannot open up without that lower level hierarchy you cross. Okay, otherwise it distorts life. So that's where they said spiritual teaching has to be done by a master in a certain sequence. Even master will not tell you don't have free will. He'll say do this. Then he'll try to point out. So now a boy meets a girl, and in first shot they fall in love. Okay, now who fell in love? With whom? Okay, so I loved her, I fell in love. Now tell me what happened when you fell in love? Love, when a boy meets a girl, certain chemicals are produced in the body. It gives a feeling of goodness. Right? Endorphins. So now, is this endorphin you call love?
No.
That's exactly what is called as love.
That is just a reaction.
No, but you're right in the sense there's a whole article on the chemistry of love.
Chemistry of love. Right? So now, I fell in love. Some chemical in your body fell in love with some chemical in other girl's body. Then you say, I fell in love. Who is making the claim?
Or it's pheromones and
No, but the chemistry of the talk about the hormones as well, right? In this whole subject there, but I was curious. If you imagine two entities following your line of thoughts, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Just unplug.
It's still part of that system, right? So if you go back to the XY chromosome, that's where the whole thing began, including the hormones. So there's entity A, entity B, boy, girl, girl. Nowadays it's boy, boy. So
Can you say what did you say then?
Entity.
two entities,
Okay, got it.
right? So as they evolve through time, the 50%, 30%, 20%, and so on. These entities and the hormones, I'm trying to simplify it, they'll also change. The chemicals change. I mean, our cells are not what we born with that we die.
Yeah.
Every cell is revitalized.
Yeah.
So my thought there was, as the cells are being revitalized and the chemicals are being revitalized, you are changing.
Correct.
So the you are also not you.
You are also not you.
So if it's a function of time, mathematically you is a function of time.
You is a variable.
Right. It's a
That I'll come to that now. Okay, exactly. You're hit the right point, right? So what happens? Our language is a mess. Okay, language you learn something called adjective, something called verb. In nature and noun. In nature there are no nouns. Okay, let's say I say table. The table is not a fixed thing. It's a constantly changing. Okay, there's nothing in the nature which is fixed. Everything is moving. Everything is changing. Our body is changing. Our mind is changing. Our chemicals are changing.
So all are verbs.
All verbs. Actually, in an enlightened language, there are no nouns. Okay, the very fact we are using nouns will program our brain further. Tell me the name of your friend. Some friend. So again the program, because the moment you say a name is a noun.
Right.
And a body came into picture, a solid body. Her body is not solid.
No.
Her name is not fixed.
Yes.
So our program gets strengthened in this whole thing.
And we repeat it so it remains there, right?
No, these are the grown-up programs.
Right.
So as we grow up, programs get solidified. We start treating everything as object, everything as a noun. There's no nouns. Everything is constantly changing. That's what he said. Body is changing, chemical changing. So it's completely fluid. But we solidify.
Oh my God, you hit something.
Huh?
Now kids say, I'm fluid. Gender, they say I'm fluid.
That's a
Yeah, because as a teacher I keep hearing this, so I'm like, yes.
So let me ask you a question. How many times you can take a bath in river? Okay?
It's not the same river. Yeah.
No. You give me the answer. You give me the answer. Answer is also not same. How many times you can take a bath in the river? What's the answer you know?
I think only once, right? Because the river is
only once.
You cannot take a bath in a river only once.
only once. Okay.
Okay. Because the river keeps on flowing.
Right.
Your body is changing. The moment you put your leg is changing. This part is changing.
The river is flowing. The river is flowing.
River is flowing. So you cannot take a bath in river even once.
Your body to
That's why our ancestors made a con. Okay? If you take a bath in river Ganga even once, you will be free from sins.
Oh my God, this is very metaphysical. Then it's not good. Right?
No. It's a con. It's a hidden.
Right.
So if you understand, you cannot take a bath in Ganga even once, then you are free from sin.
Oh my God, this is.
Then we get into what is a sin. I get a point. So what is a sin would be a whole discussion. And therefore, how do you absolve yourself of the sin? So if there is something that's good and bad, opposites, right? So what would be a sin in that metaphor?
No. This is actually a common man's language.
Yeah, I'm with
Right. We'll come to our real meaning of sin, we'll take up separately. So this is where common people say, no, if you take a bath in the holy river once, your sin is, you are absorbed by sin. So now that is a common man's understanding of sin. So for them, sin is, I did some mistake, okay, some bad karma I did. So that's why I'm suffering in life. That's called sin.
No, but sin could be the assumption that you are you.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the assumption people live, no? The whole world lives in the assumption that I am I. So this is coming from a common man's point of view. So to get rid of common man, our ancestors have kept some koans and some hidden meanings. One such hidden meaning is, even if you take a bath in river Ganga, once you will be, so you will understand, by the time you understand that I can't take a bath in river Ganga, you are free. That means nothing solidified is there. Your sin is not solidified. Right? Okay. So, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, somebody asked Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, everything is done by Divine Mother. All actions are Divine Mother. Then somebody asked Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, if every action is there, so why there is evil in the world? There is a wrong thing in the world. So then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, people have apparent free will. Okay? The apparent free will is given by the Divine Mother to them to feel a sense of responsibility for their actions. Feel guilt and correct yourself. Okay? So then once a person understands there is no free will, everything is done by the Divine Mother, he cannot do any sin at all, any evil at all.
Because Ramakrishna Paramahamsa talks about that. He says, don't go and absolve and say, I'm a sinner and sinner. I say, there's no word like that.
That's there in only Christianity.
Yeah.
That's actually original sin concept. That's a different concept. And that also they have not understood properly. That's a different thing. Okay? So, where is the free will? But then our question comes. All our spiritual teaching is about follow your dharma, do your karma, okay? Right? Live a good life. Okay? All those things are told. All those things are told as long as you have a sense of apparent free will which you believe is true. Then the moment you understand there's no sense of free will, no real free will, you are already free. That is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita sloka. The final conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksheshyami Mashuchaha. The concluding statement, Krishna tells Arjuna, yo, do this yoga, do this dharma, and finally he gives one statement. Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Okay? Now throw out dharma. He didn't say throw out dharma. No, Paritya is correct. But he didn't tell him to give up dharma. He still asked him to fight the war. Means follow your dharma. Okay? That dharma means karma. So, sarva dharma paritijya. You cannot drop dharma. As long as you are living in the world, you can't drop dharma. You have to leave dharma. Sarva karma you cannot drop. Because I have a responsibility, I cannot drop that. Karma also. Then what he says is, sarva dharman paritijya means sarva karman paritijya. Sarva karman paritijya means kartritva paritijya. I am the doer. Top that I am the doer. The moment you drop it, you are free. And how do you drop it? Only through inquiry. Okay? It cannot happen accidentally. By probing inquiry, you understand there is no doership. Right? So do you make a good cup of coffee?
No.
I didn't say she said it properly. I
question is dangerous because if you ask Meera vis-a-vis Ram, you'll start a war over here.
I don't make coffee at all. So
Okay. So,
No ego there.
so do you all of us claim something, right?
Yeah.
I do a cup of coffee. Coffee powder I didn't do. Milk I don't do. Right? Okay. Then fire I don't do. Water I don't do. Then what I did? I put everything and did this thing, mixing. That you did?
No.
That also happened. Then who did what? So basically what's happening is we are living in a sort of semi-conscious state in the universal level. That's called what we call as Maya. And somewhere the shell has to break up. So that breaking up is called enlightenment. Now, by yourself you can't break up because you are already in that trap.
This is like somebody being in a program and trying to say, hey,
He doesn't even know he's in the program. Okay?
Right.
So you cannot break it. But you will try. Why you will try? Because that's a program which will make you try. So the program is there. Spiritual journey you have to do. You have to find God. That's the program you runs. I have to find out. That program you will keep on struggling. Okay? That program, when it feels that I can't find God, I can't do anything, I'm helpless, hopeless, then the program will break. That's called breaking of the ego. That's why nobody got enlightened because of sadhana. But nobody can get enlightened without sadhana. Because sadhana is the way to break the ego. Or ego to understand the limitation of ego.
So is that also then predetermined?
Of
Who is
course.
Trying to get
Of
enlightened?
course. There's
So,
a
but then, if that's predetermined, then where does the sadhana come in? Because
that's because you have a sense of free will. As long as you have sense of free will, you have concept of sadhana also. The moment you drop free will, already you are enlightened. You cannot drop it because you still feel something I have to do. See, even if I tell all these things, next question is what should we know? Next question is
yes, how do I get it?
so you said everything, okay, there's no free will. Then what do I do to get enlightened? You'll ask the next question. That means you have sense of free will.
So in some sense free will is needed.
Huh?
Sense of free will is needed to get enlightened.
Sense of free will is needed to do something in life, find your limitations, right? Until you find your limitations, until the ego finds its limitations, it cannot come out of it.
Yeah.
So the sadhana or spiritual practice is required to understand the limitation. That is the place where surrender happens.
See, this thing of, because I used to have this argument with my mother, okay? She said, she taught me from the beginning, surrender, surrender. Sharanagati is the only way, Sharanagati. Vaishnavites, we all shall surrender. And I used to argue with all the time, you can't just keep saying that, okay? That surrender is something which is very deep inside. And even to this day, I think I gave up finally arguing because I thought it's like a program. She's been programmed and she's passing that program to me. But now, after living this thing, I sometimes feel it is very hard. When you think you can surrender, but you're not really.
No, the surrender itself I have given 10 talks, each of 1.5 hours. Because there are very popular questions for me. One is free will and destiny, and other is a question of surrender. So these are very popular questions. Okay, so now we'll settle the question of free will. So now tell me, how many of you have free will? But you can be free from will. The free will is given to you to become free from will. You become free from will when you understand I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am the consciousness. The body, mind, intellect is a part of nature. That's an engine, machine.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
So this whole thing also points towards if all of this dissolves into nature eventually. Is that the Brahmanda that people talk about as it?
No.
Am I going to finish?
No.
So supposedly after moksha you sort of got to a realization.
So that's another bigger question. Okay, your question is about enlightenment and variety of enlightenment.
I'm not using the word enlightenment.
No, I'm saying that Brahmanda, Brahman,
source, right? So
source.
If you go
The source, in the source, there's no nature. Everything dissolves.
Right, no nature.
So it's
This, it is actually everything goes back into the source. There is no duality there.
Yeah.
There is no prakriti nature. The nature manifests and we identify the nature. That's called samsara.
You become part of the entity.
You are not part of the entity. You are the entity.
You are the entity, but you realize you're part of the entity.
No. You are the entity.
I know, but the realization is a moksha part, right?
Realization is not realization. I am part. I am.
That is is Advaita.
Oh,
Okay, you cannot be part of the entity.
You are the entity.
You are the entity, because the whole cannot have parts.
Understood.
that's
So-
another talk. The whole.
The whole thing.
This is what happens in my classes. Okay,
Yeah, I know.
so what happens? It will be free flowing. People will ask question, I'll keep on answering like this. That's my.
So, different question, and this was fantastic. What set you on this journey after Siddharth?
That's a bigger question.
Maybe we can, I think that's a logical point where you want to get food and
The